Alright, let's look at the homework 6.1, problem number 4. Alright, so first we want to know where the intersection points are. So I'm going to set these equal to each other. So 7 cosine of 5x is equal to 7 sine of 10x. Alright, so using the trig identity, sine of 2 theta is equal to 2 sine of theta cosine of theta. We can rewrite this guy as, before we do that, maybe I'm going to divide through by 7 so that we don't have to look at 7. Alright, so this is equal to 2 times sine of 5x times cosine of 5x. Alright, and then I'm going to subtract cosine of 5x from both sides. So you get the 0 is equal to 2 sine of 5x cosine of 5x minus cosine of 5x. Alright, then since we have cosine of 5x and is in common, we can pull this guy out. So we get cosine of 5x pulled out. And what's left is 2 sine of 5x and a 1 here. So it's a plus 1. Actually, it's minus 1, sorry. It's a negative 1. Alright, so 0 is equal to that. Alright, so which means that we can set, so we want sine of 5x to be, we want 0 there, so it's to be 1/2. Alright, which means that we want 5x to be, we want sine to be 1/2, so it's going to be pi over 6. So which means that x is equal to pi over 30. Right? And or we can make a cosine of 5x equal to 0, which means that we want the 5x to be pi over 2, which means that x is equal to, divide through by 5, pi over 10. Alright, so the graph is going to look like this. So you have the y-axis, and we have the x-axis and the origin. Alright, and let's see, pi over 30, pi over 10 is going to be probably around here, pi over 10. And pi over 30 is 1/3 of that, so it's pi over 30 around there. Right? Then a sine curve is going to start from, right? So let's draw a sine of 7 sine of 10x. So it's going to go through the origin, and a pi over 10 sine of pi 0, so it's going to be 0 again. So then it's going to times 7, so the highest would be 7. So it's going to look like this. So it'll go up and down and it becomes 0. Alright? And a cosine of 7 cosine of 5x is going to be, so it's going to have an intersection there. And then start from 0, 7 there and the 0 there. So it's going to go through something like, go through there. Right? So the region we're looking at is starting from 0 all the way to pi over 10. So this is the region. Right? So we can set up the integral. So we have to do a 2 integral. So area is going to be integral from 0 to pi over 30. That's what I meant here, not just 3. So pi over 30. Right? Then top curve in this case is cosine. So you have a 7 cosine of 5x minus, bottom one is a sine curve, so sine of 10x dx, and plus integral from pi over 30 to pi over 10. Right, the top curve in this case is sine, so you have a 7 sine of 10x minus 7 cosine of 5x dx. Right? So 7 is in common, so I'll pull it out. So 7 is pulled out. So I'm going to put 7 in front. Right? The antiderivative of cosine of 5x is sine of 5x divided by 5. Right? Antiderivative of negative sine of 10x would be positive cosine of 10x over 10. And it's going from 0 to pi over 30. Right, plus. Right, again, 7 is in common, so I'll pull those out. So 7 outside. Then antiderivative sine of 10x is negative cosine of 10x over 10. And negative antiderivative cosine would be negative sine of 5x over 5. Right? Then you're going from 0 to pi, oh actually not 0, sorry. It's a pi over 30 to pi over 10. Right? So let's compute. Right? 7 is outside. Right? If you plug in pi over 30 here, so it's going to be pi over 6. So sine of pi over 6 is 1/2, so it's going to be 1/10 plus, right? Cosine of let's see, pi over 3 would be 1/2, so it's going to be 1 over 20, and a minus. If you plug in 0, sine of 0 is 0. And if you plug in 0, cosine of 0 is 1, so it's going to be 1/10. Right? And plus 7. Right? If you plug in pi over 10, so it's going to be cosine of pi is negative, so it's going to be negative 1, so it's going to be 1 over 10 minus. And a sine of pi over 2 would be sine of pi over 2 is 1, so it's minus 1 over 5, right? Minus, if you plug in pi over pi over 30 here, so cosine of pi over 3, which is going to be 1/2, so it's going to be negative 1 over 20, right? And then sine of pi over 6 would be 1/2, so it's going to be negative 1 over 10. Right? So let's see if we can simplify. So we can cancel, let's see, 1/10 here minus 1/10. You can cancel that. And anything else we can cancel. We have here 1/10 plus 1/10 would be 1/5. You have minus 1/5 is sitting there. All right, so we can cancel that. So this is going to be 7 over 20 from here. And we have another 7 over 20, which would be 7 over 10. All right. So let's type it in. All right. So the picture we're looking at is actually, I'm going to type in 7/10 here. The picture we're looking at is we're going to let's see, pi over 10. So pi over 10 is going to be 0.3 something, right? So it's going to look something like this one right here, right? And then area is 7/10, right? So let's check the answer. Submit for testing. All right, it came back and looks like we got the correct region and the correct area. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.